Do art and wine really go together? In Carlton, artists and entrepreneurs are making it happen, from Carlton's Walk in the Park to artists like Karen Brock.
I had never considered the thought of doing a retail space because the commitment can be staggering for an entrepreneur like me. I make blankets out of old sweaters, and I've reached the point where I can't buy enough at Goodwill. It's very labor intensive to go and do that, and it's also expensive. So to expand that product line that is the blankets and the scarves, and then the next product is hats that I've been doing, I needed more at a better price. So I ordered the minimum of what I could get, which was 1,000 pounds of these sweaters, and I didn't have a place to process them in my home. So this space was available, and I said, why don't I just do it here? So in order to use the sweaters for blankets or hats or scarves, they have to be made into flat pieces. So I would sort them into color stories, go to the laundromat and launder all the same color relationships of sweaters together, and then bring them back here. Myself and two other people worked to cut them into flat pieces. To do approximately 400 pounds of sweaters, it took 2 months. And at the end of that time, I discovered that I really liked being down here. There's just a certain energy with people on the street. It's a very charming community. So I made the decision that I would create a retail space in this shop starting Memorial Day weekend and commit through the end of the year. I have the first 2/3 of the space is all retail area. But in order to not regret the amount of time that I spend down here, because it's not a mecca of retail in Carlton yet, the last third of the space is where I work. Any number of things I can do here having to do with the production of what I do.
Tell me about the quilts.
I went to Japan, to the flea markets in Kyoto, and bought kimono off of the parking lot ground where they would just have piles of them, and you just paw through them and find what you like. And I don't know where the inspiration to do them came from. I've always done quilts. I've always liked Amish quilts. These are a little bit Amish in their feel. They are square. They have these corner details. But I then took the kimonos, dismantled them, cut them into certain formats, and then I go on to Vietnam and pick the new companion silks to go with them, and I have a group of gals there that I work with who do the hand quilting of them. So the kimono quilts are all hand quilted, and the feature of them are these cast-off kimonos. I often have other leftover fabric, and so I will take the leftover fabric and put it in groups, and my gals in Vietnam put these little purse sets together out of whatever's left over from the kimonos. Every scarf, even if I use the same sweaters for it, the way they go together is different. The stitching is different. The patches are different, whether they have flowers on them. It's all different. So I really have a store here that's full of one-of-a-kind things that have been mass-produced. Everything has to be touched by me. I initiate everything. I have, these templates. There's certain sizes that I work with in the skirts. Each product line has its own set of puzzles. I have each one as a puzzle. And there are certain elements that are the same to each puzzle. So the trick for me is to figure out how, as much as possible, that I can do the same, and then insert little quirks to make them all different. I really like contributing to the waking up of Carlton. People come here to enjoy excellent wine. Let's face it, they come here for that. But they're not thinking about shopping because they haven't, but they will. People come in and it makes me pretty proud when they get surprised by the fact that there's a store here, by the fact that it's so special makes me pretty proud, and the fact that I'm part of something bigger down here makes me pretty proud too. To be part of this community and part of the waking up of Carlton feels like the right thing for me to do.
Carlton's train depot houses Tyrus Evan. This restored depot is a work of art in and of itself. This tasting room features several artists, including Karen Wright.
I like to work in really rustic kind of stones. I like to make the stones stand out, so I like to patina the metal and make the interest what's happening here with the more natural products. And I like to play with proportion. You know, a lot of people do simple things. This is probably the most basic kind of proportion where you have a chain and then you have a pendant on it. But to do something really different in shape, so you would wear proportionally different with different type of clothing and stuff. So, and things that are put together. This is actually one whole piece. This piece, just on hooks. So you're all ready to go. Oh, I love these crystals. Usually people would use little bits of crystal, but I like the proportions here. If you're gonna wear a bracelet, wear a bracelet. I love to find the materials. It's so fun to shop for the materials and to find things, unique things that you haven't seen before. And I love selling them. I love doing the shows. I love walking the park. I love our open houses here at the winery. And I like making it a lot. So all parts are good.
Dwight Ewald is a local sculptor and painter. His studio is right on Highway 47. You can see him during the Art Harvest Studio Tour in October.
I would have to say that the artwork that I do involves using some materials, and that could be almost anything really, and combining elements of randomness and order to see how they come together. Some things I like to do involve mixed media things. So for instance, if I'm experimenting with something like plastic pipes, I started messing around with things with plastic pipes because I wanted to find a material that didn't have a lot of references to it, in art. You know, there was not a lot of kind of baggage with it, and so I experimented with those things for a while. Well, they'll see a lot of different things here, so I don't tend to focus on one thing. So if they wanted to see something that is a little more avant-garde, I would say, then some of that work that they'll see here will be that way. You know, it'll be different media and different, kinds of experiments.
The Violet Rose is a gift shop in a tall green building next to Scott Paul Winery. In addition to Carlton memorabilia, it features art and jewelry by several local artists. Some of the art in town is hanging in the tasting rooms for which Carlton is famous. For example, Tyrone.
As you can see, it's sort of a hybrid tasting room art gallery. We have a great setup here where there's a lot of wall space and a nice big bar, so when our customers come in primarily to taste wine, they have the added benefit of being in an art gallery. So I always tell people you can come into the tasting room here and always taste new wines and always look at new artwork. But we have a very, very gorgeous courtyard in the back of the building here. We can seat about 40 people, and all summer long, every Saturday afternoon, we host a concert. And we invite people to come and get a glass of wine and sit down and listen to the music. And well, I like to look at what I do here in the tasting room as a sensory experience. People come in and they taste the wine, and they stand in the tasting room and they look at the paintings, and so that incorporates what they're seeing. And then to kind of bring that just a little bit further and to incorporate that sense of sound, we incorporate just one more sense for people to enjoy what we do here. And so it's the wine and the art and the music, and sort of that trifecta creates a really neat atmosphere. You can kind of get that whole experience in one place in Carlton, and I think that's really a unique experience to have that.
In local restaurants, we found that fine food wasn't the only art. Lori Lewis, a Carlton painter, has hung her paintings in Cuvée, a French restaurant.
When I got things down here and we figured out how to place them, I couldn't believe how fabulous it was to have my artwork in this environment and showing the way it does. I'm very pleased, very pleased. This figurative work was the initial part of my transition period. I spent 2 years working strictly from the figure, really shifting my artwork into acrylics and more abstracted pieces.
Are some of these collages?
I refer to them as construction pieces because they're done on panel and they're done with a lot of, well, construction materials. It seems on my canvas I like to work the figurative pieces, and then on board I like to do the more construction pieces. So yeah, both of them. It's fun to play off because the figures have become more abstract pieces for me, which then carries me to a strictly abstract piece. Well, you know, I have an annual show with Ken Wright Sellers over Thanksgiving. This will be my 17th year with him. So that's been a very long, wonderful relationship. He's been a fabulous supporter of me and the arts in particular.
Across the street from Cuvée, the Horseradish offers more art and
live music every Friday and Saturday night from 7 to 10 p.m. all year round. We try to do kind of a wide range of music to appeal to all the different people out there, but the Rainbirds are certainly something special. I think it's a huge service to offer to people in the area. It's something that keeps locals local instead of having to head into bigger cities like Portland to find live entertainment. So it's been a really nice feature, especially over the winter time. It keeps people coming out even though it may not be nice weather. And in the summer it's fantastic just to see all the tourists coming in and seeing what Carlton really has to offer. We don't actively seek new people. They generally will come find us, which is nice, and we'll just have them send in a little press kit, or a lot of people have websites now, so we'll get their information, check it out, see if it's something that would be a good fit for our spot. And we do our art consignment. People are able to hang it up, and if a customer comes in and likes it, they're able to take it home with them, which is really nice. I think what music does for the soul, visual art does for the eyes. I think it just adds a nice feeling to the space. It gives us the ability to change pretty frequently, more so than if I were trying to purchase the art myself in order to showcase. It's nice to be able to kind of change with the seasons and the mood. I really try to make this an extension of people's homes. But it's been wonderful. We have had such great support from the local community, from friends, from family, and I like being able to support local artists. I think it's really important to work together as a community to really showcase what fabulous talent we have here in food, in wine, in art, in music. We've got a lot going on, and I think it's important for people to know that Carlton is a great place to visit, but it's also a great place to live.